Hey, and welcome to another COVID edition of the Paranormal 101 slash Dark Side. I'm Dave from CHAPS. Much quieter home tonight. My dog's away with my wife visiting the grandkids. So it's pretty much just me and my cat. And I'm pretty slobby today. Look, I'm wearing pajamas. So let's keep it real. That's all I want to do. You know, I think your integrity and everything is most important, so I'm keeping it integritous and showing you that I am wearing pajamas, like everybody is at the bottom of the Zoom calls. I had been asked to do a bunch more videos, which is fine. They do tend to come to me. This one was sort of put together in a couple days where it comes to case management. Case management is kind of the, what do you want to call it, unsung hero of what goes on in an investigation. I know right now I'm actually doing the case management for my team because I can't get out as much. So I guess I've just called myself a hero. Anyway, as you can see, I've got notes that I've been writing down for the last little while, and they're probably going to go back and forth, and there's probably going to be all kinds of things that lots of people will say, well, you forgot about this, and you forgot about this. Yeah, probably. This is more kind of aimed at sort of these are 101 videos, right? So if you get the whole idea of a 101, this is aimed at a junior team. However, I mean, senior team might be able to get something out of it. I don't know. You know what? I work with other teams all the time that are much junior to what we are, and I always come out of it with some new, fresh idea I can use. And that's really what's important, right? It's about integrity and losing your ego. Sorry if I'm consistently going to be drinking my tea. I've got a hell of a squirgle in my throat. That's my word. Okay, so I think one of the first things we've got to do here is to remember what a case manager actually is, okay? You know, and what your team's mission is. I think a lot of people out there get kind of hoity-toity about what it is that they do. And that's okay, I guess, if you want to make yourself a high-level team and all you do is high-level places or commercial environments, whatever, that's up to you. But if you want to help people, you got to remember that you as a case manager are the first line of defense, and what your mission is as a team. And yes, I am reading from my notes. They're horrible notes, and I can't write with a goff, so I probably won't even understand it. So I mean, it's really what it is you know, pre-investigation. What you're doing is you're creating a template for the lead to work off of. So you're essentially like, you know, an engineer, right? You're in a drafting office and you're creating that map and all that the investigator is going to work off of. And most up on that is your lead. You should be working head up with your lead. The actual investigation in place and what happens at the investigation is affected by what you do, but your lead should be the person that's in charge of that stuff, right? This is why we endeavor to have people that are trained well enough to be called a lead. You know, it's all gonna depend on that, but really it is what it is. And you're gonna have to remember that, you know, there's all kinds of clients out there, right? Like sometimes I get some teams that get really pissy about clients that call up about certain things, and they're really meager. But it doesn't mean you can't help them. You know, the only reason why you couldn't help somebody would be, you know, logistics, people not there, not the equipment, all kinds of things like that. Like, okay, I'm in Oshawa, and I've had somebody from Winnipeg get a hold of me. I mean, I gave them lots of advice, and I found a team for them, and sort of like calmed them down a little bit. Maybe even did some of the pre-work so I could send to that team. But I mean, obviously, you know, you can't do everybody. But you know, you've got people. There are very kinds. I mean, there are people that are afraid of something they haven't seen. Okay, maybe they're hearing knocks or something like that, or they're just afraid, but they've got something in their head that there's something haunted in their house. They're getting the heebie-jeebies. You're going to get a person that's actually witnessed an occurrence in their home. All right. You're going to get a witnessed event, afraid of something. You're going to get one that is intrigued by what they see on TV or in magazines or whatnot. It's not always bad. We've done a couple of these and ended up with some interesting investigations. You go in and the person's just kind of interested in what are these guys going to do when they come into my home, and you actually get results, which is interesting too. You should never go in expecting anything, first off. You should know that 1 out of 100 cases, you're going to get evidence. There are some that are seeking attention. You know what, that's probably a good 50% of the people that call. As a case manager, as a team, you're going to find that 50% of people just want attention. Or maybe actually require some assistance beyond that, whether that be mental help or whatever. We've had people that are addicted to painkillers and all kinds of stuff and psychotropic drugs, and they're seeing things or feel like they're seeing things, in which case it's also okay to help, right? It's okay. We have done that. And then there's commercial businesses that want to tap into this for commercial reasons, a good backstory, possibly a history to it. Hey, cool, man. Nothing wrong with that. Commercial investigations are fun, as they're generally bigger and you can accommodate more of your investigators right? In any case, we're here to help whatever it is we do. That's your job. Your job is to help. It's what it is. Case manager, the first thing I do is I assist, and doing it for free. If you're charging money, then again, like I've said in past videos, turn this video off. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want you to talk. Don't ask for donations or anything, because guess what? What you give these people is just an opinion. There's nothing that you can prove, and you can't give them a prescription to fix their problem. You can't ghost-bust their house. You know, I went on another video about whether you're saging or something else. Well, let's just say you're in the home of it's going to be kind of weird being here in North America, but let's say they were immigrants, but like a Bolshevik family or something, like a Russian background. And then you figure you're going to go in there and sage. Well, doesn't that kind of also stand for sort of the same reason why we don't go into a French home and speak English, if we believe that the spirit is French? You know, it would be like going into a Roman Catholic's home with the Torah and speaking, you know, in Jewish language. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit the bill, right? So, you know, I mean, really, when you come down to it, you're going to meet all kinds of people, I promise you. Some will become friends, and some will be a complete horror story ending. I assure you. I assure you. I know that we did a 10-hour round trip to Windsor and investigated an entire apartment building. Well, I say that, it was like a 9-plex or whatever. And we came back with him and told him that there was no evidence to it, and he was going to sue us. And had our names in the newspaper down there for all kinds of stuff. And so you're going to get horror stories in there, okay? You're going to get kitty litter homes. You're going to get everything. So, you know, I think one of the major factors that we're trying to do in having communication with our clients is to set up the appropriate investigation for success. Like, the cleaner the house is, the clearer the claims are, and the better set the team is, the better outcome the investigation is going to be, and the best expectation from the client. I mean, the client isn't expecting you to come in them with proton packs and all kinds of video cameras. We had one of them who was really upset because they heard we were CHAPS family, and they thought that, you know, A, Jason and Grant were going to be there, and B, they were going to have a house full of cameras. But really upset when we showed up with just basically a kit. So I know that a lot of people, there's some things that I'm going to speak to, and this might cheese off a few people. Look, there's a lot of teams that use form letters, huge 75 question forms. A lot of it's very duplicitous. I don't know. We've never had much luck with that. I have that set up on my website, but it really doesn't go that way. Most times people just contact me directly, and what we do is we start an email conversation. Conversation is what's important to start with, right? You want to calm them down and let them know that A, that they're not crazy, and frankly that their claims are very similar to hundreds of other cases. Keep it to email. I assure you, just as a piece of advice from somebody who's been at this a number of years, keep it to email right off the bat. Do not exchange phone numbers, okay, unless it's like you're dealing with like the Pope. Because you're going to get called at 3:30 in the morning when something happens in their house. And then if you give them results that they don't like, they're going to be calling you for months after saying what's happening. So don't do it. Once you've met them, it's a totally different situation. Once you've already set things up and you know a bit more, it's a different situation altogether, right? You know. As being a case manager, it's your job to really determine the viability through rhetoric with the client, right?
All this stuff, you're looking about $80 if it works.
My TV was on pause. To the logistics, you need to know what's going on so you can set the team and the equipment. And again, the viability. Again, if somebody's 5 hours away from me and their bird chirps really weird at 10:30 at night, I'm probably going to first, and it's a little half-bedroom apartment, and they've been there 1 month, and that's how long it's been going on. 5-hour drive might not subscribe to all that, so I might just find a team that's local, or I may just have a conversation with them or advise them to keep a diary for a little while. Because, hey, I mean, if all of a sudden a cat grows out of the wall and attacks her, well, then we need to go investigate that, because that's at least more interesting. But it's important that you're setting, what you really want to do is you really want to set your investigation up for the right amount of crew and the right experiments to do. I mean, you can go gung-ho and take 15 cases of equipment into a house and you won't end up using half of that. And you'll take 7 people in a house that is big enough for 3, and then you're just going to get noise contamination. Or one of your guys goes rogue and goes investigates on their own and messes up the audio. I assure you that happens a great deal. You want to go to the logistics of things. You need to know all that. You got to kind of take a look at your team too. Is your team a spiritual team, a pragmatic team? I can only speak to a pragmatic team. I see some teams go into a house with like 4 psychics and somebody with a video camera. In which case all the psychics are going to do is lay claims to things, either agree or disagree, and it's going to be on videotape, and that's that. I don't see much viability to that. I believe if you want to bring a psychic in, I could see doing it after the case, see if that can back up what you found, or prior to the case as a separate venue. Just personally, that's just my opinion. I'm a pragmatic guy. You know what? The questions should be geared to setting the team size and equipment needed. Obviously, you will need all the address and contact information. This has happened in the past to my team, where we didn't get quite the right amount of information, and you spent an hour trying to find where they were, or you didn't have contact information and you went to go get to the house is locked up and they're gone. Oh, they canceled it. Not giving you driving well. Make sure all parties are committed to the investigation. And this is where I'm saying this is where like a form letter doesn't really suit. You got to have a conversation through a few emails, right? Make sure that all parties are committed to the same thing, right? Them and you. It's important that they know, all right? What you're about and what you're going to expect and what they're going to expect. And you should be able to get that, you should be able to get through the rhetoric, whether this is something that maybe another team should be doing, or if this is really something you want to be doing, or whether you should tell them, I think you need to contact a cleric of some kind. I always use the word cleric because that's non-denominational, right? Find out obviously what's happening. I mean, that's obviously key to what we do. When it's happening, what time of day it's happening, that kind of stuff. Basically giving you a verbal checklist of what it is you're investigating. And that's going to be able to allow you to, sort of sit down with your lead and say, okay, well, maybe we need to be doing this kind of test or this kind of test. Setting the experiments based on the investigation itself. You're obviously going to do audio, you're obviously going to do your base reads, you're obviously going to do your video, right? But I mean, overall, do you really need to bring tons of monitoring equipment, or do you need to bring all kinds of trigger devices or Boo Bear or something like that when it has nothing to do with the same, right? Excuse me, my glasses are very dirty. Tell them to keep a diary in the meantime too, so that you get ongoing information, and if you have a good rhetoric with them, they'll be emailing you regularly. The size and the type of the home. Okay, is this a 1-bedroom apartment? Is this a 45-bedroom house? Are you going into Buckingham Palace? This is important, okay? Because if you're having a, old 1940s war home, if you take 5 people in there, you're just going to be tripping all over each other. Just accommodate for who's there and for what, right? It also, what matters, ask them about the size of the rooms itself, because if you have like little 8x10 rooms, and a lot of war homes are like that, bringing a DVR, like any sort of like solo monitoring equipment, isn't going to help you, because you're going to set it up and the way it's shot, you're just going to get a wall. it's probably not going to do a lot for you. You might want it, I guess, for a hallway or something, but you could make your investigation a little different. Like if you're going to go with a hallway, put some proximity things down, whether that's REM pod, I can't stand them, but could be the proximity panel or a motion detector or whatever, and maybe put a single trap camera at one end. They're handy to use. Really poor resolution. They have terrible frame rate, but and when they actually puncture on, right, is a little slow. But regardless, if one of those alarms goes off, it will take something, and maybe you might be able to capture something, at least have a timestamp of it and what was in the hallway. But what this does is, if you know the actual logistical value of the home, the square footage in that, you're going to know the size of the team and the real equipment you're going to need to carry. Same as if you've got a place that's like 200,000 square feet. Like, okay, we did Waverly Hills. Among a few places in the States. We took a DVR to Waverly Hills. Other than catching the stairwells, because I don't like wireless DVRs, I think they get cut out too easily, it just didn't do it. And I mean, you'd have to have 4 or 5 DVRs set up all over the building, and that's just, we have 3 of them, and I don't really want to, it's too much time setting it up. Get the investigation done. Okay, size, type, home, duration and time of event. Some people think you're going to be there for like half an hour. Some people think you're going to be there for 3 days. So you need to tell them what you need. Generally for us, it's 4 to 5 hours. You know what I mean? With the address, you could also check the property and see if any past events have actually happened in there. How's the house heated? Okay, different things. Forced air gas is going to create a lot of the orb activity they're going to see. If you're using baseboard heaters, they're going to increase EMF, but also they also have convection currents, okay? Which people are like, well, I don't have anything blowing in my house, but the thing is that air waves are created by heat, so they're going to get the orb pictures, and I guarantee you most of them are going to send you orb pictures. You're going to have to argue with them about it if you believe that side of things. I mean, the orbs are just non-presentable. And it's okay, calm them down for that. Maybe even show them the link of my video about orb creation, and they'll realize it isn't like that. You're going to want to ask them how many lines are coming in the house, internet, basically a lot of physical stuff. How many bedrooms, how many kids, how many animals, blah, 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 blah. You want to explain to them that you have to be strong with this too, that during the course of an investigation, you want the least amount of people there as possible. They own the place, they have the right to be there. But it's going to affect the outcome, right? If you've got 5 people downstairs playing guitar, and we've had it, it basically just, it's done, right? You might as well just pack up your shit and go. So you got to have that real discussion with them about it. I want to ask them what the proximity is to other homes, obviously, because of things like baby monitors, noise, and hydro. Sources of hydro, we did an investigation where it was 119 milligauss underneath their house because they were so close to the hydro lines. That's a pretty extensively harsh amount of EMF to be subjected to all day. Sources of hydro and other sources of noise. Maybe there's a train station behind their house. Who knows? They could be on a fault line. Maybe they're on the edge of California and about to fall into the ocean. You need to know this stuff. This next one is actually pretty important. I used to say it to people and they kind of gave me that, what does it matter? Have they had another team in? This is important. Why? Why are you the second team called? Are you the second team called because the first team didn't give the results that they wanted? In which case you're going to have kind of a hard client to deal with, right? Because, be smart and contact that team too. Was that team come in and say that there's a vortex in the basement, in which case go to that other team and punch them in the face? All kinds of things. You're going to want to see. It's almost like I even ask my clients sometimes you have off discussion about what kind of shows they watch in the paranormal. And then you're going to know what they expect. They're going to expect a phantasmagorical investigation. You want to make your case management very personal. Almost like a sales meeting where you're drawing things out. Not like directly asking all the time, but just drawing out. It must be getting really dark behind me, isn't it? trying to make it nice and light. Okay. That can answer a lot of questions anyway. So, you know, do we have the effective? I don't even know what I just wrote there. I just found the word. Renovations. Okay, so a lot of people tend to think that renovations stir up spirits. And I suppose they could. We don't know that. But renovations can also lead to bad wiring, things being, like the wiring being ungrounded, poor plumbing. You know, if they didn't, properly pine the pipes and the walls and they're vibrating, that can happen with new builds, right? Yeah, we've all seen Mike Holmes, so we all know that that happens. It really has an effect on the houses physically. You know what? You know, you let them know who and what all will be involved, and to discuss with the lead, and set a date with the client. All right, so that's kind of like the end of the discussion period with the client. The client really should be very well aware of what you're doing and what you're going to present, right? Like I'm not going to come in there and give them a realistic date. Don't say I'll investigate your house and I'll have you an answer in 2 days. It's not going to happen, not properly. But if you keep in communication with them, much like say, okay, I managed a sales, right? I managed a store. And a customer isn't annoyed with you as long as you're keeping in communication with them. If you haven't gotten to them yet, but you still kind of go, look, I'll be right there. They don't get angry-ish, not a lot. So if you keep conversations with your client, they're going to know what you're about. They're going to know that you're not, my clients all know what I'm about. Like they all know I'm not running in there to say you have a portal in your basement. I've never used the word portal or vortex, and I don't believe in it. So my clients know that, and I let them know well ahead of time. They could be looking for a different kind of team altogether, and that does come to that. Okay, you want to make sure that, again, to discuss the occurrences with your lead investigator, to make sure you got the right equipment. Confirm with the client a week prior to the investigation. Make sure everything is all a go. Present them honest findings with integrity. I didn't find a thing, I'm sorry. This is what I think could be this. Your team that night should be spending, when you do that pre-discussion about what's going on there, your team should have a list of tests they want to do, like, to debunk. That's kind of a rude thing to say. Like, you kind of sort of don't want to say it to the client, but you've got to say it to the client that, look, I have to rule out the positive, norms so that I can be left with things that I can go, I can't debunk that, right? And just present the honest findings. Really, that's kind of the end of that, right? That's case management. Case management is just the ability to work with people and ask the right questions. Ask the questions to develop the right answers. You know what I mean? And don't have it so your team is going in all willy-nilly. Don't have it. Get pictures of the house. You want to know if they're a slob ahead of time. You want to know if the rooms are full of stuff. I generally get them to take a picture of every room in the house. I've been some places we've gone to where we had walked out within 10 minutes. There could be all kinds of different devices you're bringing because there's different kinds. Weight blot, ultraviolet UV lights to test out somewhere because they said that there was blood all over the floor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Get the volitions for what they're doing. It's all about having an honest discussion and not going in there with a brain burner and being like, yeah, we're a paranormal team. We're ghost hunters. God damn it, please don't ever use that word. Don't say ghost hunters. Don't say ghostbusters. Paranormal investigator, paranormal researcher, that's fine. But you don't want to create a Hollywoodism, I think, with the client. And see, the thing is, with the team, the client is going to depend on you and have its thoughts about you from you, the case manager. They'll meet the team and they'll have different thoughts that night, right? But I mean, like, you're going to be the initial point of contact. So if you're terrible at what you're doing and not actually having conversation with them, it's not going to work. And your team's going to go in there with too much equipment or not enough equipment or not the right equipment. Or you're going to have 11 people going into a 2-bedroom house. Or you're going to have 2 people going into a 40-bedroom house. So you want to think about it. Case management is super important. That's all I got to say.